Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer and Bob Price. Now, their show airs nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. Gael and Bob maintain a focus on sharing books, publishing, marketing, and writing solutions. They serve listeners by providing outlets for their creative skills and energies, and they help them flourish in the competitive marketplace. Their weekly show provides intros, writing spotlights, helps you in promoting your book, your writing, your publishing, your marketing tidbits, and much more. Okay, audience, here's Gael and Bob.
Well, hello, everyone. And today it's just Gael. Unfortunately, Bob is at home with COVID. And so he is not going to be with us today. So y'all are stuck with me and Dr. K. Kizer. So we're just going to chat with her today. And you're going to have to just listen to my sweet voice. I know you're all excited about this. So, Dr. K. Kizer's life is a remarkable journey shaped by her early experiences in foster care, which eventually led her to establish the nonprofit organization K's Carry On. Born in 1961, Dr. Kizer's life began with the challenge of being placed in foster care at birth. This early adversity fueled her passion for creating positive change for others who faced similar circumstances. Motivated by her own painful memories of having her belongings stored in plastic bags during her time in foster care, Dr. Kizer founded K's Carry On, a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing support and resources to individuals in foster care. The organization seeks to alleviate the struggles and challenges faced by those in foster care by offering tangible assistance and emotional support. Beyond her philanthropic efforts, Dr. Kizer is a visionary author who has contributed to the literary world with 2 anthologies. Her third book in the series titled Faces of Foster is currently in the works and is set to be released in 2024. In this upcoming project, Dr. Kizer collaborates with individuals who share her experience of growing up in foster care, aiming to shed light on the diverse and often untold stories within the community. A woman of faith, Dr. K. Kizer is a devoted follower of Christ. Her commitment to her beliefs is evident not only in her personal life, but also in her professional endeavors. As a licensed and certified chaplain, Dr. Kizer has received specialized training to serve as a first responder, providing spiritual and emotional support in times of crisis. Adding to her list of achievements, Dr. Kizer is a recent graduate from Kingdom Ambassadors Global University, where she earned a PhD in Christian leadership and business. This academic accomplishment reflects her dedication to both her faith and her commitment to leadership within the Christian community. Dr. Kizer's life is not only defined by her professional and academic achievements, but also her roles as a loving mother to 3 adult children, a proud grandmother to 4 grandchildren, and a great-grandmother to 1. Her identity as a veteran of the United States Army further demonstrates her commitment to service and duty. In summary, Dr. K. Kizer's biography is a testament to resilience, faith, and a deep-seated commitment to making a positive impact on the lives of those who, like her, have experienced the challenges of foster care. Her journey from adversity to accomplishment is an inspiring narrative that showcases the transformative power of compassion, faith, and a steadfast dedication to helping others. Welcome, Dr. K. Kizer. My goodness, you have gone on a journey.
I have.
You've got an interesting path. So tell us, how did you get from foster care to the Army? Let's take the first part.
All right.
Okay. From foster care to the Army. How did you get there?
Well, the interesting thing is that once you turn 18 years old, you're considered to be an adult. And so you have to find something to do. And so the best thing to do for me, was to just join the military, join the Army.
No support system whatsoever?
No.
You're just out.
Just out. I mean, the foster families can make a decision to let you stay.
Goodbye, good luck, good riddance.
A lot of foster children deal with that. Like they even hear the comments that I'm looking forward to when you turn 18 so you can get out of my house.
Oh my goodness. So why are they foster parents?
They like that state check that they receive. They receive a monthly compensation to care for the children. And then once the child turns 18, then they don't receive any more financial assistance.
So all you are is a dollar bill.
To a lot of foster parents. Now, there are some good ones out there. They're not out there for that, but
Right.
there are some that just want to see, they want to look forward to that check every month.
That's terrible. That's just awful. Can you tell us about your story in foster care?
I know that my biological mother had made a decision that she did not want to parent me. So when she learned that she was pregnant, she had her older siblings. She had 3 older sisters, and they helped her. They guided her into just going to a home and give birth to the baby, come back to the community, and pick up life where you left off. So that's how life began. So I was actually abandoned in the womb while I was still growing, and then immediately placed into the foster care system.
Just, that's it. That was it.
That's how it all began.
Oh my goodness. I just can't fathom that.
That's how
I
it all
just cannot
began.
fathom that.
Yes, as she was 19 years old, and she just didn't know what to do. So
No support system from anybody.
she didn't.
No? Parents, her mom and dad.
She wouldn't. Oh, in the early 60s, you didn't tell your parents that you were
Well, that's
expecting a
true.
baby.
That's true.
You
Yes.
had to be married.
You had to be married.
Right.
Absolutely. There was no other options.
Right.
In the early 60s. It
So
was,
true.
Yeah. You didn't have any other options.
Right.
Absolutely. So how did foster care shape your writing journey?
I was blessed about a year ago, invited to write. Someone, one of the veterans that I met at a women's veteran retreat, she had sent a message to me on Messenger and said, "Miss K, I'd like to invite you to, meet this lady. She's a publisher, and I think you would enjoy writing your story." And so sure enough, I took a chance, and that's where it all began. Was that very first, it was just a chapter in an anthology. And I thought, well, I said, maybe this is the way the Lord is going to start me on my writing journey. So every time there was an invitation to write, I wrote. And what I did is I wrote from actually the pain that I've been carrying around, all those years. And that's what catapulted me into moving forward with the writing.
Do you want to share any of those stories?
Oh my goodness.
If you don't want to, I understand. But if you like to?
Yeah, I'd like to share. The one that sticks in my mind the most is sitting out on a front porch with a foster mom, and she was smoking a cigarette. And she actually, when she was finished smoking it, instead of using the ashtray, she used my hands. And so I had black marks inside of my right hand. And I believe that was really a way of in the demonic way as well, that's a way for the enemy to make sure that I did not write, like damage the hands, damage the tools, that you need to write. But that didn't work. So that was one incident. And then I also remember being sent to the room quite often, like I do all my chores.
Right.
And then I'd be sent to my room for just any odd reason. And I'd have to stay in there, until it was time to go to school the next day. And so I always wondered, like, how in the world what did I do to get in here? But what it was is I learned later that it's like it's called the spirit of incarceration. It's everything, the God, it's either God or the devil, right?
Right.
Those are the only two. So the enemy, his goal was to just seclude me from the family. So he wanted to make sure that I was, it started off as abandonment. He wanted to keep it that way. So And I also wanted to just speak about that Cinderella syndrome, where
Right.
I was the oldest foster, well, not in several occasions, I was the oldest. And so I was always the one that had to do the chores.
Mm-hmm.
And so no matter what I did in regards to helping the foster family do the work, they were never satisfied. So I always try to teach people to stop trying to satisfy other people and satisfy, your creator, your maker. We spend too much time satisfying
Trying to
others.
please others.
Please other. Yes, a people pleaser.
Yeah. Don't be a please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes. Um, uh, so you also created a nonprofit. You want to tell us about that nonprofit?
Oh, yes. And that's a vision from the Lord, actually, because there's no way I could have came up with that by myself. But I went to a military, like a women's veteran retreat in Galveston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was there, I was blessed to have the same counselor for like 3 days in a row. So on day 3, we started talking about my childhood, which there was a lot of crying going on in that session, because I was just kind of remembering a lot of things that I didn't necessarily want to remember. And while I was in that session with her, we were talking about, the trash bags and, how children feel when all of their belongings are placed in trash bags. And this idea just came to me during that session about giving children rolling luggage. And even the counselor had spoke to me and said, Kay, you really need to move forward with that. Like, don't just let it be a thought, just move forward with it. And so I remember going back to my room and I got out like a notepad, like what you've got there on the desk. And I just started writing. I went online to see what others were doing, to help foster children.
So how can somebody, if they have luggage that they want to give away or whatever, how can they do that?
They can reach out to me
At where?
On KXOK.com.
.org.
Yes.
KXOK.org.
Yes.
And they can donate to that.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. And my desire is to only do brand new luggage. And the reason I say that is because children have already had hand-me-downs the whole time they've been in care, or maybe while they were at home. Right. So it's like, give them something that's brand new that no one else has touched or used. So that's my goal for 2024. And the reason I say that is because I've received gently used luggage as well. And the zippers are broken, or the handles don't work, or they're full of dust because they were sitting in somebody's storage or in their garage. And I thought, no, I would never want to present that to a child. I don't think that's fair.
Right. It's used stuff again.
Exactly.
Used stuff again.
Right.
Used stuff again.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you make any connections with other foster children when you were in some of these foster homes? Did you?
I did not.
No,
I sure didn't. I would have liked to. And that's what I love about that event that I went to in South Carolina, is that even though those were adults, they were still able to come into one room, and freely speak about what they.
Earlier we were talking and you used the word that even, they were even. How did you put it?
Oh, like it was a safe space, which means they could share such pertinent, what you normally would keep silent, but because they were in a safe space, they were able to share that, yes, I was a foster child. And that's not something that most people are going to openly say. Primarily because they're ashamed, or other people are going to say, oh, you were in the foster care system.
Yes. It's a stigma attached to that.
Yes.
And there shouldn't be.
That's true.
It shouldn't be. It's you didn't have control over that. That's
None.
Not like you said, oh, I'm going to pick that instead of that.
Exactly. Right. I'm going to pick my own family.
Right. Yeah. There was no choice to that. Absolutely. So, you are listening to Author's Edge with Gael Freer and Bob Price, coming to you weekly on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on KWRH 92.9 and KXOK 102.9 FM, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. nationwide on My Genre Radio Network. And you can also view our latest videos of past shows at authorsedge.com online and download valuable information on marketing and publishing. And about now, Bob would be giving us some marketing tips. But Bob has COVID. And so he has asked me to share some authors' blogs for everyone. So the complete list for these authors' blogs would be on our website at authors-edge.com. They are really, really terrific blogs. And one of them is called The Creative Pen by Joanne Penn. Her blogs are simple and easy to read and understand. She also interviews prominent personalities on the online author world who offers advice and shares their stories. Rachel Gardner is an author blog, which is more for beginner writers, but her advice is great for everyone in the industry. They range from how to get publishers to notice your work and what agents can do for you. As a literary agent, she knows all the behind the scenes of the industry and can advise those who need it. Readsy's blog covers a wide range of topics that are useful in many areas for virtually all authors. The unique thing about Readsy is that they all, along with their blogs, they also offer a broad author services directory and have many online tools such as title generators and online book editors. So, one of the things I was doing, Dr. K, was I was doing a little research on you.
Yes.
And while I was doing that, I found Rita Pearson, who is a TED Talk person on education and foster care. One of her things is every kid needs a champion.
Oh,
and in her
yes.
talk, she emphasized the importance of building meaningful connections with students and whatnot.
Yes.
She says, every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. You agree with this idea?
Be the best. Yes.
What do you think? How does that quote fit in with your vision?
Well, I like it too, because that's what the Army says.
Yes.
Be all that you can be.
Yes, absolutely. How does that fit in with your foster care thing, with your foster care vision? Being in the Army and all of that. How does that fit in with that?
I would say just primarily serving those youth with what they more than likely are just desiring desperately, and for an adult to step up to the plate, and just be there side by side with them before they end up falling in the cracks and being lost.
How can we give hope to children with one change with the foster care system? If we were to change one thing, what one thing could we do that would give hope to children in foster care?
I want to say give them a voice and allow them to speak, because a lot of children don't have that opportunity to say what's going on in their minds. I know counseling is nice, that's good, but I'm talking about like their deep feelings, like even writing it down, being that ready pen just to be able to write, which I remember doing that as a child as well. I loved little journals like that, and just to write down whatever happened at school during the day, or if somebody was picking on me, or just that outlet to be able to speak. Yes.
Just to have a voice.
To have a voice.
What's the simplest step to bring dignity to a child in the foster care?
Just showing them that they have value. Who's the who?
I mean, we give value. I mean, who's the who in that?
The adults that's in the children's lives. It could be the foster parent, the adoptive parent, the staff at the school, the principal, anyone that child is with, big brothers, big sisters, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, church.
What would you want to do? What would you want to see fixed?
I just feel like, oh my goodness, there's so many things that need to be fixed.
I know. But if you were to say,
oh wow,
what is the one thing that just really needs to be fixed or changed that would really make a tremendous impact on children in foster care?
I just feel like that having that voice, they need
voice.
their voice. Yes.
How can we make that happen?
We serve the God of the spoken word. So he spoke and there was, like.
How do we create that voice for them, though?
I just, in schools, they need to be more, I would say, more maybe focused on literary.
Proactive? More literary?
Yeah, writing
More
more.
writing?
Right. You know how they took cursive out of school and those type of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, they took them out of school because they didn't have time for them. I mean,
Right.
when legislatures start saying things like, well, we have to do this, and we have to do this, and we have to do this, then you say, well, there's only so much time in the day.
So true.
So you're going to have to take something out if you're going to fit all of this in.
Right.
So, that
Right.
there's also that.
Right.
But being more proactive,
definitely. Yes. Yeah, being proactive for sure.
how did you meet your biological parents?
I after my mother had passed away, my biological mom, well, how do I want to say that? I'm trying to think how. There was an I'm trying to call what the name is called, intermediary
Okay.
in the courts.
Right. There was somebody in between?
Right. There was someone in between. And so that person, I shared information. And then because I had went to the school where my biological mother went to and got her paperwork. So I knew her name, her birth date, and all that kind of stuff. And that was in archives. And so when I spoke to the intermediary, whatever that word
Intermediary.
is.
I know.
That's a hard word.
Yeah, intermediary.
Well, she said, well, you know a lot already. She said, it won't be difficult for me to locate her.
Right.
And so she asked me, she said, well, do you mind if I reach out to her and kind of go, do whatever's necessary and let her know what's going on. And then after that, I'll get back with you and let you know. Well, that took about a week because she called and did whatever she needed to do. And then sure enough, the intermediary called me back and said that she will call you on Friday at this time. And so when I got off work that particular day, I remember just carrying at that time, we didn't have cell phones.
Oh my.
So I carried around the house phone until that time because I didn't want to miss her call.
Right.
And so that's how all that came into play, which is really beautiful. Yes.
And what happened?
We just spoke. I mean, it was just wonderful.
It was a good thing.
It was a good thing. It was a happy thing.
It was a happy thing.
Yes.
And she was happy to talk to you.
She was very happy to speak to me.
Did you connect well? Did you have a relationship with her? Did you?
Yes. And the only disappointing part of it all was after I met with her one time, apparently she had an illness and it took her from me. So I met with her on Memorial Day. And I remember before leaving, and I probably never ever forget this either, is she had made breakfast for me and I sat at the bar. That was like Saturday morning. And as I'm sitting there and just looking at her, I remember making this comment about, I said, I'm missing you and I haven't even left yet. Now, where that comment came from, I don't know. But that was the one and only weekend that I had with her, not even knowing
that she was going to pass away.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Yes.
How powerful that must have been.
Oh, yes.
That's absolutely. Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And she passed away like my birthday month, which is October. And prior to that, I never celebrated my birthdays.
No?
No, I didn't have birthday parties growing up either. So all of a sudden, it's like my birthday now has meaning because I've met the individual who brought me into on planet Earth.
That's wonderful.
Yes, yes, yes.
So are you in touch with her sisters?
Yes,
and
I am.
Family?
Yes.
So you have all of that now.
I do.
So you've acquired a family.
I have. Yes.
How absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
That is so, so wonderful.
Yes.
If only that could be for everyone.
I agree.
If only. Okay, I think we are going to go to a commercial break, which is perfect timing, so I can dap my eyes a little bit because it's getting really teary here. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you in a few minutes.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
The United States has a strong tradition of welcoming newcomers and refugees. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans inspired to welcome those seeking freedom and safety and in turn help strengthen their own communities. Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership that is inspired by what Americans represent to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. All it takes is a helping hand. Are you ready to learn more? Contact the International Institute of St. Louis at info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. That's info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page.
Nice little commercial.
And we are back. And that was really we were just talking to Dr. Kay Kizer about her meeting her biological mom and how she was reunited with that family. How does foster care aim to reunite family and children? Do they make it an attempt to reunite children to their parents, or is it just they're in foster care and that's that?
Well, their goal is to get the children back to the family of origin.
Yeah.
And not all the time does it work.
Right. Well,
but the goal is that.
The goal is definitely that.
Yes.
And how do they make that transition?
They let the children have visits with their parents, which is really nice. You know, like they'll go on like in the middle of the week or whatever day and go visit for like maybe 2 hours at the children's division, their office. So it's like it's an overseer makes sure that it's that the visit goes well.
How long do children typically stay in foster care?
It could be years.
Well, you stayed in it for your entire life.
Right. But it's not, to me, that's not normal.
That's not normal.
I mean, they can be in foster care maybe 6 months or a year. It just depends on what's going on with dad and mom.
Okay.
You know, like if someone's incarcerated, then that child is going to, that child will continue to visit. They can visit their parent while they're in prison, which is a good thing. That's a good way to keep the relationship going.
So a lot of times, not a lot of times, I shouldn't say that, but some of the time that parents are in prison, some of the time
they might be in rehab.
Okay.
Right.
Um,
Trying to get their life together so they can get their children back.
right. Right. Um, what happens to, okay, so are there, okay, are there any positive effects of foster care? I mean, we've talked a lot about the negative
know.
effects. And, you know, sometimes um, sometimes when government's involved,
Hmm.
it's, the intent is good, but that doesn't always mean that that's the outcome, that it's good.
True.
Okay. So, and in your case, it was not. And in a lot of kids' case, it's not.
Right.
But then there are some times when it's good.
Right.
So, like for example, when you were you had gone to South Carolina and you'd done that group.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was there anybody in that group that said they had a good experience?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were some that were even talking about how they were adopted, and they feel like they ended up with a good adopted family, forever family. That's what I'll call them.
A forever family.
Yes. So yeah, there are definitely individuals who are happy, had a good childhood, never even knew that they were probably even in foster care, because that's just how flourishing and the relationship was with the parents. So
So
yeah, there are good.
So I mean, I'm trying to think: is there other alternatives to doing foster care? Is there any? I mean, is there any way that we could do something other than foster care, or is that?
Well, they have residential facilities or group homes. Of course, those are not always wonderful either. I've seen some YouTube videos about those, and now that the children are adults, they're coming back and talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's an alternative to foster care. You just have to have good staff and loving staff. Children need to know that they're loved and appreciated and
cared for.
affirmed, and those are the things that I missed as a child, was not hearing the words "I love you," or having someone pat me on the back or say, "Wow, you did really well," and it's okay if you got a C on your report card, we still love you, instead of being so stern. And so it's almost like military, really. But no one should have to.
But without the concern. See, I think military is strict, but it's strict with adults, which is different than
True.
being strict with
That's
children.
right. Yes.
Yes,
That's right.
military serves a purpose.
Yes.
And it's good.
Yes.
And yes, they it's not perfect.
Right.
Okay.
That's
but
right.
it's with adults.
That's right. That makes
that
a big
have already
difference.
been established, that already have, to most extent, have been loved and cared and
True.
nurtured.
That's right. Exactly.
They're not in the
Right.
nurturing stage. They're not being nurtured. Children have to be nurtured.
Yes, they do.
They're flowers that have to be
Definitely.
watered.
Oh my goodness. Yes, they do.
And
Yes, they do.
if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your job.
Exactly.
And foster care is something that has to be done in.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And, I wanted to share about, I have a 21-year-old daughter, and I chose to bring her into my family through adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought her home when she was 2 months old. And even when she was real little, I would use the word adopt, or, I'd not the foster care word, because kids don't want to hear that.
No.
But I just would let her hear that word adoption. She could be like, I adopted her when she was 16 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So up to those days, I was still saying it because I wanted her to know. And then even afterwards, like, okay, you've been added to our family,
Right.
through the gift of adoption. And of course, there are adoptions that go sour also, which means the family will give the child back even though they've adopted them, which is kind of, when you think about, it's hard for me to even say that out loud, knowing that a family went through all the stages
How can
and
you
steps,
do that?
but it happens. Children are given back to the system.
Why? Why would somebody do that? I mean, that to me is, that's got to be the cruelest thing in the world to do.
It's, I would say, like double trauma,
Yeah.
triple trauma.
Triple trauma.
Yeah.
Unbelievable trauma.
You're right, right.
I don't understand how somebody can do that.
Right.
Under what circumstances would someone do that to a child.
They didn't apparently make the real commitment in the very beginning and say, you know,
What is
this
a
child,
puppy?
exactly, right. We're going to take it to the pound, right?
I mean, we take the puppy in, but the puppy grew up, and so now we don't want it anymore.
Right.
I don't
Yes,
even with a puppy. I don't think you should be doing that.
that's true.
I mean, you bring them in. You bring a child into the home,
Right.
and either you do the hard work and you take care of it,
So true.
or you
Right.
don't.
That's right.
It's not a.
And there should never ever be an option of giving it back. You know, I mean,
No.
we do that with a car if it's, you know, or something, but
But that's.
not a person.
But a car has no feelings,
True.
and a person has feelings. Even pets have feelings.
Even pets have feelings.
So we can't do that to living things.
Right.
To living creatures.
I
mean,
agree.
you just can't do that. I don't know
Right.
why. Have you ever spoken to children that have had that happen to them?
No, but I've read some articles about it.
And what were the circumstances? Did you?
It was primarily that the child, you know, when they become teenagers and they start doing
And
what
they-
teenagers do, and it's kind of like, okay, I didn't sign up for this, you know, and so they make I don't even know how they go about calling an agency and saying, I'm giving my child back. Can you imagine doing that to I'll say somewhere between 15, 16, 17 years old and saying, I no longer want this child in my home. When you're a foster parent, you can do that. But when you adopt, I mean, that's a legal document. That's a legal contract. That's a legal everything. It's like getting married.
Yes,
You're in it.
you're in it.
You're in it. That's it. But yes, those are the circumstances that I've read about.
Oh my goodness. I have never heard of that. How horrible.
It is.
Oh my good. Oh, that's making the back of my little hairs on the back of my neck stand up straight. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, you are listening to Author's Edge with Gael Freer and Bob Price, coming to you weekly on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on KWRH 92.9 and KXOK 102.9 FM, and Monday to Friday 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network. You can also view our latest radio videos of past shows at authorsedge.com online and download valuable information on marketing and publishing. And I have 5 top methods to use when writing real life tragedies. Research and understanding. Thoroughly research the real life tragedy, ensuring a deep understanding of the events, context, and the individuals involved. Seek out diverse sources, including firsthand accounts, documentaries, and reliable news articles to build a comprehensive foundation. Empathy and sensitivity. Approach the subject with a matter with empathy and sensitivity, recognizing the real pain and suffering experienced by those involved. And try really hard to avoid that sensationalism and focus on humanizing the individuals impacted by the tragedy and acknowledging their emotions and struggles. Don't be the Jerry Springer. Do the real work in emphasizing the empathy and sensitivity of what's going on. The narrative structure. Choose a narrative structure that serves the story's purpose while respecting the gravity of the real life events. Consider chronological order, or do flashbacks, or an alternative structure to enhance the storytelling. Ensure that there is a clear and logical flow to guide the readers through the narrative without causing confusion or emotional detachment, or having to keep going back to where you started from and having to reconnect to information. Balancing facts and emotions. Maintain a balance between presenting factual information and evoking emotional responses from your audience. Use vivid descriptive language to convey the emotional impact of the tragedy without compromising the integrity of the facts. And ethical considerations. Always keep in mind the ethical considerations that you have. Adhere to ethical standards when writing about real life tragedies. Avoid speculative content and sensationalism that may harm the individuals involved and perpetrate misinformation. And I really don't like that word misinformation. Don't perpetrate lies. Keep that in mind. Consider obtaining permission when writing about living individuals and be mindful of potential legal and ethical implications. Remember, writing about real life tragedies requires a high level of responsibility and respect for the individual and the people involved. So, tell us about how and when you did your book writing. How did your book writing begin? I think you did a little bit at the beginning.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So can you elaborate a little bit more on
Yes,
like
I had started with a publisher. Her name is Cindy Ann Rogers. She's out of Georgia. And she had shared with me about us writing. And like every chapter was either about thankfulness or there was some title that went along with it. Like when I did Memorial Day, that was Unexpected Blessings. And then all of them were titled Unexpected Blessings. And then there was another word that went behind it. Well, when it came time for me to start writing for the Faces of Foster Care, I actually went outside and I looked up to the heavens and I said, Lord, I'm writing for other people. I said, can I write for me? You know, can I write for a population pertaining to foster care? Which means I wasn't going to invite the whole world in.
Right.
And so as soon as I said that, shortly after that, then that's when we started on volume 1. And we had 7 authors in that book.
So this is that what you mean by a visionary author?
Well, I feel like the Lord used me to give the power of the spoken word through a book. So, and let everyone write their chapters.
So you have a collection. So this is a collection of short stories.
That is correct.
Of other people that you put this together.
Yes.
Of folks that have been in foster care, and it's their story.
Or they've worked with foster children, because there's some foster moms in there too.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And
so
then
what about their stories? Can you elaborate a little bit more on those?
They were just primarily talking about their experience with the children that they brought into their home. And, you know, the positivity that they experienced while being a foster parent.
The positivity. There is some positivity.
Yes.
So can you share some of that with us?
I'd have to actually go into.
Oh, okay. Let's move on then.
Okay.
Can you share how we can locate you on social media? And
people can look for me under K's Carry On. That's on both Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And then there's also kscarryon.org, which is the actual website.
Okay.
And then LinkedIn, I believe I am just primarily in there as Minister K. Kizer.
Okay. Now, you also gave me a quote. All right. You owe it to yourself to be in the best health possible and physically independent as you get older. That's a quote from Dr. Eli. How do you pronounce his last name?
Jaroge.
What does that mean for you?
I love that quote, primarily because this gentleman was dealing with a health issue, and it did not stop him from doing what he needed to do. And so, because my mother had an autoimmune, then I ended up with lupus and scleroderma and myositis, which is called a mixed connective tissue disease. But the VA.
What is a mixed connective? What is that?
It's like lupus, scleroderma, and myositis mixed in together. So one is lupus itself, which of course is the body is fighting itself.
Okay.
The scleroderma is the skin.
Okay.
And then the myositis is like I would say like the lack of enzymes that's in the blood that actually caused me to fall a lot because I had muscle mass loss.
Okay.
So that's the autoimmune illness that I had been diagnosed with. And it did not stop me from doing case carry on. It didn't stop me from writing. It didn't stop, which means I didn't allow myself any excuses. I'm going to do this no matter what.
No matter what.
And I'm not going to stand before God on Judgment Day and say an excuse, because
Right.
we all have them.
Yes, we do.
But
Absolutely.
I wanted to throw the excuses out
Right.
and just go ahead and do what I need to be doing.
Absolutely. I hear you.
So when
hear you.
when that quote came up, it's like this gentleman found a way to receive his healing through changing his diet. He didn't do prescription drugs, which I didn't either. And he just went the holistic route. And sure enough, this man is up and strong and able to do all types of things. And so that quote is just pretty amazing. We got to take care of our health.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody. Okay. A little backstory on the absolutelys. Okay. Both Mark and my husband make fun of me because I use the word absolutely a gazillion times. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I also meant to ask you, you have said that you have specialized training as a first responder.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, that's primarily just one of the job descriptions as a chaplain. We do our best to go out there and I'll say almost like trying to put out fires. We're not firemen though. But we try our best to just meet the needs of the people where they're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you get involved in that? I mean,
well, right now I'm actually going to go over to a hospital in Southeast Missouri and just shadow a chaplain and gain even more knowledge about how I can be effective in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, not just in the hospital setting, but I just want to be out in the area where I can be utilized.
Now, you also said that you had been marketing your book in South Carolina and Texas.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So whereabouts was that?
That happened actually in November this month.
Okay.
So I had went to a veterans event, a veteran luncheon in Houston, Texas. And sure enough, I had brought the books in with me. They gave me an opportunity to stand up and talk about
here's
it.
The book. Okay.
And that book actually belongs to Miss Gail because I'm going to give it to her.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So tell me more about your in Texas and in South Carolina.
Yes. Primarily just getting awareness out there. A lot of people just do not know what foster care is. They don't understand, the ins and outs of it.
No, I don't. I mean, even though I was in public education for 39 years.
Yes.
Okay. I was a public school teacher.
Mm.
I was not privy to the students that might have been in foster care.
Okay.
I was never told.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't know if I should have been, because it really, although it might have had an impact in that maybe I might have dealt differently with something.
That is true.
But other than that, I was never told that if a child was in foster care or not.
Wow.
I was never told if a child needed extra support or not.
Okay.
Because they were because of foster care.
Yeah.
The only time that I was ever privy to anything was at the tail end of my career. I taught at an alternative school.
Okay.
Okay. And so then I would know who the homeless children were.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yes.
But those were homeless children. They were
Right.
not foster care children.
Right.
All right. So, I mean, I did know who they were.
Right.
But foster care, I was never privy to any of
Wow.
that. And some of that I think was because of privacy laws.
It probably was. Yes.
So I was never, and there was never any, I mean, we had all kinds of training for all kinds of things, but we never had any training on foster care.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Which maybe should have been there.
I agree. And the reason I say the training should have been there is because I know what to do with class clowns now.
There you go.
Because it's kind of like, okay, if they're acting out, that
There's
means
a reason.
there's more than likely they're not receiving what they need at home.
Right.
And so I'll ask them to be my helper. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to write a note for your teacher. I'm going to let her know that you helped me today. Do you know that the behavior of the student changed?
Oh, sometimes I'd let them tell the joke because sometimes the class clown is funny.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
sometimes you let them tell the joke.
That's right.
As long as it's relatively clean.
Exactly. That's right.
You know,
Yes.
if it's as long as it's appropriate.
You're right.
Sometimes you just let them tell the joke. Let
That's
them
right.
let them get it out, and then you can
Yes.
move on.
I agree.
You know, so
Yes.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
sometimes you need a little levities. You know, doing grammar can be very boring,
Mhm.
and if a kid has something funny to say about it, let them say it. That's all I can tell you. So it has been wonderful chatting with you today. Oh, you know what we didn't hit on?
What's
Your
that?
military service.
Oh.
Tell us more about your military service.
Well, I joined in 82,
Mm-hmm.
and my time there was basic training was in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, which is actually where I was for the event for the foster kids.
Oh, wonderful.
Which I thought that was kind of interesting, going back to where I started.
Uh-huh.
And then that was where basic training was at. And then AIT was in Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Okay, and AIT means?
Advanced Individual Training.
Okay. And what was the thing that you told me I need to ask? MOS. MOS.
Oh, 31M. I'm trying to think of all the numbers. But I primarily tell everyone that I was a multi-channel communications equipment operator, which means I worked with radios.
Well,
Yes.
there you go.
Yes, that's it.
There you go.
Yes.
And what did you do with the radios?
We were being trained on them and how to go about, it was all about communications.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And then
I
after you-
stayed in the States. I didn't have to go out of the country.
You didn't?
No.
No. All right. So after you got out of the Army, what was your career after that?
Just a mom. And I don't want to say it like that because mom's jobs are.
Yeah. So we
So
leave off.
let me take that out.
Yeah.
No, not just a mom.
Yeah. Let's not say just mom. Say I was a mom.
I was a mother. Yes.
I was a mom. And I raised 4 children.
No, I raised.
No, it was 4 grandchildren you have, right?
Right.
Yes.
2 sons, and then my daughter came later. Yes.
All right. So you have 3 children.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And 4 grandchildren.
That's
and 1
correct.
great grandchildren.
Right.
1 great grandchild.
Yes.
I should say.
Yes.
All righty. Well, that's wonderful. So I think I've hit on everything.
I believe so.
All right.
Yes.
So I want everyone to say The Faces of Foster Care. This is volume 2. There's a volume 1, and they can both be purchased on Amazon. Am I correct?
And Apple.
And Apple.
And Barnes and Noble.
And Barnes and Noble. All righty. Thank you all for joining us today at Author's Edge. And let me see. I'm going to say something else. I know I'm going to say something else. What am I going to say? I am going to say thank you for tuning in to Author's Edge. Tune in again next week for more tips, resources, and your favorite conversations. Our next guest will be Violet Kairos, and we will be chatting about parental narcissistic abuse. Till then, see you around the Inkwell.